the bright morning sun. I'm always biting my own tongue. I'm rather cheeky. I'm kind of smart. Parlez-vous, let's say. Hey, hey. Watch me gush, just like a creek. Balloons always catch their own seepage, like watching that CCTV footage, watching yourself crashing, watching crashing and may I curl around misanthropic edge. Oh, I'm being so literal again. Olive branches, your wild man. Here I sat in the cold rain. Ba, 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 row and We are Princess Pillz, and that first song we played tonight was called Parlez-vous Blessé. It was written a couple years ago when we were both living in Taiwan, playing with our former band, All My Boyfriends, and that song is literally about getting hit by a scooter. This next song we're going to do for you is called Grime Syndicate. It's a little topical. It kind of has to do with what's going on in the world today. All right. But we keep fighting and we keep living and we can be unstoppable if we try hard and we cry through the night and they still come for us and we keep fighting till we die. Hearts and minds alike. Greed is pouring out your light. The people are sick of your shit. Hearts and minds alike. Keep fighting, don't give up your right. But crime, the syndicate is poisoning our minds. Fight the power so we can be fine. Fight the power, now is your time. Hearts and minds alike. Hearts and minds unite. That song was Grime Syndicate, and we have one more to perform tonight. The last song we're going to do is called Exposing Sticks, and we plan on releasing this song on March 31st, which happens to be Trans Day of Visibility. I personally am non-binary and identify as trans, so that's a very important day for me, and what a better reason to release a song. So our last song is Exposing Sticks. Walking streets at night, collecting sticks. I'll build a nest up there so this can all exist. I've turned a stone over now, exposing brick. For I am from this earth, I give it all for this. I give it all for this. The sky stays blue, no matter how down you fall. The world is We are Princess Pillz, and thank you to No Cover Magazine for having us.
Princess Pillz, how are you guys?
Good.
How's
are you?
your experience been?
Performing, right?
Yeah.
I feel great after a good show.
Woo!
How's your experience been?
Awesome. Like with this.
Performing, you know,
Yeah,
being here.
It's a little. I've been enjoying it. Performing back in California, it's a little bit. There's a little bit of a disconnect because we were touring sort of like a lot for like a year and a half with a 5-piece rock band, and sort of got a lot of like stage experience and like a little bit of sort of local cred in a different country.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden
We had a lot of fun
Yeah,
and got to do a lot of cool stuff. But it's been fun performing back here, and this space. This was fun. I like performing where you can just really feel nestled in the sound, and I really liked.
There's clouds above you.
There's clouds above. It's great.
Okay, so Princess Pillz, take us through that name. How did you guys stumble across that name? And
Well, let's see. Our original band, the electronic project, the sort of like improvised electronic project that was the genesis of this out in Taipei was called Parliament of Owls. And
That was literally, we were hanging out with a group of friends, and we were talking about different names for groups of animals, like a murder of crows, a business of ferrets, and someone said a parliament of owls, and we're like, hey, that should be like the name of our electronic duo, and we literally got
Sure,
on a
why
bus to go to like an open deck, which is like an open mic for DJs, to like try to talk to the like music director to see if we could play one of them, and it's kind of
so that's how that was Parliament of Owls, and then we came back, and for a little while we were still going by Parliament of Owls.
But it didn't seem the same.
And it just took a lot of explaining, right? Like if you tell someone your name was Parliament of Owls, and they'd be like, what? And you'd have to like write it out for them or some shit like that, or like show them on Instagram. And so we were kicking around the idea of a new name before we put out the first song, or before we sort of like restarted this thing, something a little more correct feeling.
Yeah.
And Princess Pillz came to me, I think I thought of it.
You thought of it because of a character from your childhood.
Yeah, I used to demand that my parents would tell me stories that they made up off the top of their head. You know, like instead of reading, I'd be like, no, tell me something you made up. Why? I don't know. It was very hard to be around a small child. But so I'd sort of like coerce my parents into making up stories, like bedtime stories, and then they'd like ask for participation. And so they'd ask like, oh, there's a story of a princess and a dragon. What's the princess's name? And I said the princess's name was Bill, because I think at the time I just thought the concept of a princess named Bill was funny. And, as a little kid, you laugh at it. So when it came time to rename the band, Princess Pillz, one has that sort of like childhood connection. I think it's got kind of trans connotations a little bit.
Yeah, like a red pill, blue pill thing, because
like hormone therapy, like the Matrix as a trans allegory.
The Matrix, and like my thing with like.
There's also drug interpretation. It's clearly like it's music that like makes you feel like you're on a drug trip.
Personally, my thing with being non-binary, it's like if you look at the trans flag, it's pink and blue, and when you put pink and blue together, it makes purple, and that kind of was in my head like the red pill, the blue pill, because red and blue, purple. So, right, it's like you take the red pill, you take the blue pill, but what if you take both pills? Then you'll be like this.
So sort of like a big web of like kind of semi-reasons, but once we came up with that name, and then, we threw a Z in at the end, because the band we played with back in Taipei that served as the beginning of this whole musical creative partnership was called All My Boyfriends with a Z at the end. Yeah. Which was a name Corey had been sitting on for years. So as like a final little homage to that old project, we threw a Z on the end of this. And then it just felt right. Sometimes the name just feels correct.
It feels better than Parliament of Owls.
Yeah,
that was a different thing. That was like an improv show.
Yeah, so at that stage, you're like, well, now the project is like named itself, right? Now it's like told you what the name is supposed to be. It's like that feels correct, and you sort of stick with it.
When you said you're non-binary.
Yes.
So is it okay if I ask questions?
Absolutely.
I don't want to step on toes, but I'm curious.
I'll explain it.
What does non-binary mean?
All right, so non-binary, in my personal experience with it, I feel I don't identify as male, and I don't feel I identify as female. I was assigned female at birth. I was raised to be girly and like feminine, and as I grew up, I never really felt that way. I remember being a kid telling my mom, I think I'm a boy, and like having these feelings of like not feeling like I really matched with like what I am on the outside. And I don't feel strongly towards like one gender or the other. I just kind of feel like purple. I feel like a mix of pink, and I feel like a mix of blue, and that makes me purple. And on days that I don't think about my gender, those are days that I'm just happy. Like, I don't know why it's something that like I've been thinking about consciously for a long time now, but it's just like a feeling you get like I don't identify as one and I don't identify as the other. So for me, non-binary works, and the pronouns I use are they, them, because it's like it's a combination of both.
Is it like, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, don't we all feel that way?
Yeah,
Like
probably.
some days I want to be less masculine.
Yeah.
And I want to spend time with my daughter and get a facial,
An
not that kind of
excellent-
facial.
An excellent observation, right?
Yeah.
And
Don't we
but
all
then
feel that
there
way
are days
outside
I
of
want
it?
to go and play football or watch football.
Right. Yeah.
So that how does that
Well, if I-
fall into line with that?
May I
that.
interject? Or?
Yeah, go for it. I want to
Okay,
hear
so
your take too.
I'm a cis dude. I identify as a man, and that's always felt comfortable. But clearly, like, I engage in at least feminine dress and have long hair, and I'm not that like muscular, right? Like, there's very apparent feminine qualities to parts of my masculinity, but you know, despite like enjoying things which are traditionally classified as feminine, I've personally never felt like at the core of my being that I was assigned the wrong gender at birth. It's always felt, you know, maybe the requirements or expectations of masculinity from a societal level are weird and feel kind of restrictive, but like fundamentally manhood or maleness feels correct to me, and I've never like felt a disquieted sense of like, you know, there's something deeply wrong here with like the way I'm interacting with society or the way society is treating me.
I like that you brought that up with like being like, you know, sometimes I want to go get facials or whatever done with my daughter, and like because gender is a spectrum, and I think when you hear people that identify as male or female saying something like that, like it kind of makes it like, yeah, you know, like we all just kind of ebb and flow and go up and down, and it's like I said, on days I don't think about it, those are like the days that I just feel like most me.
I would
feel
also
happy.
contend that getting a facial with your daughter is masculine as fuck.
I mean,
Personally,
yeah.
I think being a good father is fucking masculine.
So when you let's just say that you know how you're saying that there's up that you don't think about it, or when you think about it, does it mean that much to you
It does.
that it would hurt you?
And not necessarily it hurts me, because like I still, because I present more feminine. I mean, like I have super short hair, but that's also a personal choice because my hair is crazy when it's long. But it doesn't necessarily hurt me. It's to the point where I just feel really confused, and I feel like I don't belong. Because like growing up, I never felt girly. It like wasn't a thing. Like even though that was like kind of pushed in my family, because there were a lot of like girly girls, like. A lot of my cousins like the Kardashians and have small dogs and like frappuccinos and like that kind of like super girly girl type of thing, and I never like fit into that, and I never really felt like I was like fully a boy, even though I used to like hang out with the boys a lot when I was younger and still have more like male friends than female friends. I don't know, it just makes me feel better.
To know?
A lot of
We'll have a word for it, right? Or to have like maybe
yeah, like
something
a
to
way,
call it or
like a
some way to-
metric for myself of like how I want to operate, because like I don't, a lot of societal things I don't 100% jive with personally, like gender stereotypes and like roles, and like I have a whole thing with like marriage and like terms boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff, and it's honestly like I've been out since 2016, and I still every day like just kind of try to put it together to make sense to myself. And like I appreciate you asking me this, because I don't talk about it out loud very often, so I appreciate you for asking these questions.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, you're welcome, and it's cool to instead of just thinking and like, because we're in a day and age where, man, you say the wrong thing or it get taken out of context.
Yeah.
It is all over. So
Like-
it's hard to really ask questions in a safe environment.
Yeah, and I personally, like, I get misgendered a lot, and I don't get offended unless I know that it's, like, blatant, like, disrespect. Like, if somebody slips up, that's fine. Like, they, them, it's grammatically weird, you know what I mean? It's not common. We're not used to this. We don't use this a lot. But I can tell when somebody is just, like, completely dismissing what I'm telling them and just, like, narrating me their own way in their head and being kind of, like, rude about it.
Is that in the community? Is that where most of that fight for proper pronouns is?
Yeah, it's that
Is
misrepresentation.
it just assholes being dicks?
It's just assholes being dicks because most of the time when you explain it to somebody who doesn't understand, they're like, yeah, cool. And they'll be like, listen, I'm probably going to still mess up. And then you're like, that's fine. Like, we're all working on this together. Like, I identify non-binary and I have accidentally misgendered people myself. Like, it's just...
I've heard you misgender yourself.
I have misgendered myself. You're absolutely... I think I did that the other day in the car. You're absolutely right. I did do that. But, yeah, it's just... To me, I personally don't get too upset about it, but like, I have the tendency, especially since I've only been here for 6 months. Like, I'm not from California. I'm from the East Coast. I lived in Philadelphia for like 9 years, and then went to Taiwan. And now that I'm here, I have this thing when I go somewhere new, I don't necessarily push the non-binary outward. When I'm meeting new people, unless I feel comfortable. And I'm starting to think that maybe I should just say screw that and just like push it in people's faces. But like, I also don't like being confrontational, and I don't really like explaining things if I don't have to. So.
Well, I mean, just
Conflict.
like the same
Conflict.
thing with when you wake up in the morning. Do what you like to do.
Yeah. Sometimes
Like,
I want to wear boy clothes and girl clothes at the same time.
Then do
Sometimes,
it.
yeah.
And like when I wake up in the morning and I'm getting ready to go to work, I look at, I feel like freaking 80s today. I'm gonna listen to 80s. You know, every day it's a new day.
I woke up and chose Vaporwave today. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's how that works.
Someone woke up and chose vapor violence.
Vapor violence. No, I quit vaping.
When you're in Taiwan, you speak about Taiwan. We know China is very non-tolerant. We had a brief discussion prior to this.
A little bit.
When does this get out? Is this looked down upon? Like, what does the social constructs over there look like in the trans?
Taiwan's pretty pro-queer.
They're pro-queer. They legalized gay marriage in 2018.
Yeah.
I think it was May 24th.
Healthy drag scene out there.
Huge
too.
drag scene.
So it's like
we have a couple
not
trans
even-
friends who, I think like they encountered a little family pushback.
Yeah, we have a
but,
couple
like,
Taiwanese friends who identify as trans.
I don't know if I have any trans friends who, I don't know if I know any trans Taiwanese people who got like kicked out of their house
Yeah.
necessarily, which is a thing you sort of hear about, like, here happening sometimes.
I think the way they see family and the way we see family is slightly different.
Yeah,
and that's
sure.
another thing. That's a whole different thing. But like,
Yeah, so possibly ahead of us on the trans issues. At least like neck and neck.
well,
in
they
terms
have
of,
a
like,
trans woman
progressive
on
issues.
Parliament.
Oh yeah.
The Minister of Technology, who was the one the reason the island did not have COVID on it for 15 months of the pandemic is because she came up with like the contract tracing system that she
Yeah, like a
used?
digital contact tracing system.
Yeah,
Shout
and-
out Audrey Tang.
Audrey Tang.
You're awesome.
And Skynet, appropriately named Skynet, she named it. But yeah, so I think they're a little bit progressive with that, considering that there is a trans woman on
So
Parliament.
they might be ahead of us in terms of like trans protections.
Yeah.
And, like, we're still squabbling about bathrooms and like
Yeah.
sports over here. Like if they've got a trans woman on Congress, I think we can pretty categorically place them ahead.
Yeah.
In terms of trans. Like,
We do
consciousness.
as well, don't we?
Do we?
I think
Yes.
so.
A trans woman? on
Yeah,
Congress?
there is
Yeah.
a trans woman in Congress.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
But I'm just saying for like,
And also in the cabinet.
So-
yeah.
No.
Well, it's just like for being an Asian country, they are like one of the most progressive ones. Because like you still hear about like Brunei and some other countries where you can get killed.
China.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know.
sure. For
I mean,
sure.
Middle East.
And then Taipei is like, let's have a parade.
Yeah.
like
Big
everybody,
gay government sponsored
everybody
parade.
wears rainbows and crop tops, and it's a really fun time. Like,
Well, guys, where can people find you if they're interested in hearing more Princess Pillz?
Princess Pillz Music on Instagram is probably
Yes.
the best place right now.
Princess Pillz Music on Instagram. We're releasing a song on March 31st, and the goal is to get it on Spotify.
All the
All the
Apple,
platforms,
Spotify,
on
any way you can get
everything.
music. So we're just rebuilding. We'll have the first single out hopefully, and
The 31st of March.
on the 31st of March.
We're playing in Lompoc. Is it Lompoc?
Lompoc.
Lompoc. You need to
Flower
tell I'm not
Festival.
from here. I can't say that right. We're playing there on the 26th of February for the Central Coast Beat Social.
Mm.
Have you ever been to Camarillo?
I've actually not been to Camarillo, but we've driven through Camarillo.
What did you call Port Wainimi?
I don't know.
Let's not go there.
I still had like Mandarin Pinyin in my brain, so I'm pretty sure I just said it really
Pardon
weird.
me.
You're like, what did you just say? I'm like, what is this place? And he's like, Port Wainimi. I was like, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank
for having
you
us.
for
having
This
us.
was a ton of fun.
And this will
Really appreciate
we'll
it.
look forward to putting this out.
Thanks.
All right, we'll talk to you.
Good night.